The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
By tomorrow, I will rule the world!
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone!
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
Well, I must have not been paying attention when you were just talking to me. Do you think that you could repeat the question? And I listen more attentively. There must have been something in all of that nothing. There was
It's always a surprise when Facebook works the way it's supposed to.
I must have missed something.
Like, I'm always expecting problems.
Yeah, you're like,
I think they do that on purpose.
I must have not been paying attention when you were busy slamming the door. I guess the things that pass for affection
You got that?
same as they were before. There must have been something in all of that nothing that dropped me like a stone to
No.
the floor.
All right, let me try sending it on Facebook.
And I must
Yeah.
have missed something when you were just slamming the door. Oh, I don't mind just a little. It's driving me out of my mind.
All right, should have got that.
yeah, that can't be true.
The riddle and hand me a bottle or something that's hollow. I can climb inside. It's a lifetime movie of the week starring you and I.
2 weeks in a row.
On fire.
You guys don't mind if I just do a little work here before the show?
Don't mind just a little. It's driving me out of my mind.
All right, that done, that done.
Spare me the riddle and hand me a bottle of something that's hollow. I can climb inside. It's a lifetime movie of the week starring you and I must have not been paying attention.
Hey, I might be ready for music bingo on Saturday.
Hey.
How about that?
Why, you going to sing all the songs? Or?
Oh, I'm going to try.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I do.
try. If my voice cooperates. All right, let's get this show on the road. What do you think? Hi, how you guys doing? My name's Tom Duggan here at the Paying Attention Podcast. Hi atop Two Guys Smoke Shop at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. We got a great show for you today. We have a guest. She's not here yet. She just texted me. She's on her way, but she will be here, which is okay. I got a couple of things to cover first. Stephany Infante from the Lawrence City Council is here today, and she is also a former member of the Greater Lawrence Tech School Committee. And we started off as kind of rocky really. It's funny, the people that I'm closest with today started off hating me. Like, if I think of the people that I like the most today, I think back to like when I first met them and we hated each other. And that's always very interesting to me how my relationships morph, because I think people generally get the wrong impression of me. People who have heard about me through rumors or through stories or whatever have one view of me, have like one idea of who I am, but then they meet me and they work with me and they see somebody completely different. Yeah. So it's always kind of interesting. So we wanted to have Stephany on. She's got some projects in Lawrence that she's working on, and I want to ask we'll ask her a couple of the controversial stories, see if she wants to bite on it, maybe give us some news. Before we do, though, I have a couple of things. So Saturday night. So if you're watching this live, it's July 20th. Is it really already?
Yep.
Oh, summer's almost over. So today is July 20th. It's Thursday. Saturday, the 20. Right, you think with my Lawrence high math. The 22nd, we are going to be live at the Clatta in Lawrence, the Clatta Pub. Yes. Great food, by the way. Drinks are very, very reasonably priced compared to like other places that you go to. Great atmosphere, and we love Brian at the Clatta. He's been an advertiser for a long time, and he's actually a really good guy. He helps TMF I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago I showed up at TMF. He was there with his wife and his daughter and his granddaughter. And not only did they bring all the food, but then they stayed and they served it. To me, like, there's a lot of people, and I don't want to denigrate people who donate food and then don't stay because some people can't. Yeah. But it's always a little extra special when they stay and serve the homeless and have conversations with them, because when you make that connection, those people generally always come back.
Yeah.
And so, and I think they gain just as much out of it as the homeless do from getting the food and talking to people and stuff. So I really love Brian Farrell at the Clatta in Lawrence, and so we approached him a couple of weeks ago and said we want to start doing fundraisers like every other week if we can, or at least maybe once a month until Labor Day, to raise money for next year's bash, because next year's bash for the Valley, it's going to be the Valley Patriots' 20th anniversary bash. Yes. And this year, at the 19th anniversary bash, we gave out over $54,000 in scholarships. 100% of that came from you guys. Came from people who follow us on Facebook, who are readers of the Valley Patriot, people who watch this show or listen to the show on Google Play or iTunes or iHeartRadio. And we walked out of the room thinking, holy crap, did we overshoot ourselves? Because next year's the 20th. What if we're not able to raise as much next year? Next year's like the banner year. So we kind of sat around afterwards and said, why don't we start doing these little fundraisers throughout the year to put money into the bank so that when we get to like January and people start donating for that bash, we'll actually have like a little pot to start with. Yeah. And then that way, last year we had 7 kids. One kid got $15,500.
Incredible.
Another kid, the kid at the lowest end got like $3,400. So with all these extra fundraisers that we're doing, we're going to try and help those kids that are at the bottom, get them a little closer to the top so that it evens it out a little bit. So if you'd like to come, it's 7 o'clock on Saturday night at the Clatta, and it's $20 for the night. We're going to go from 7 to 9, right?
Yes.
7 to 9.
So that's when the game starts. I would recommend everyone getting there sooner.
Get there sooner.
I would like to start the game.
Okay.
Games. Plural.
Games. And, of course, the music bingo host is going to be none other than the hottest voice on podcast, Chrissy Cunningham, my producer.
Listen to me for 2 whole hours.
You know what? To me, I don't care if nobody shows up. To me, that makes it worth it, right? Yeah. It's $20 for the night. So what you'll do is you'll come in, you'll give Nancy or whoever's taking the money your $20, and then she'll give you... Is it 5?
Yeah, we're going to do 5 bingo rounds. Music bingo, different categories each round. That way, if it's not your style of music one, you might you might be a 70s person or a rocker. Mm-hmm. So we change it up. I make it as fun as I can, which, I'm pretty good at. Yep. But yeah, 5 different rounds. So you'll hand Nancy the money or whoever's doing it. They will give you your 5 cards for the night. I'll have them marked at what rounds we're doing, but I'll be emceeing the whole night, letting people know. And then, I believe you guys have some awesome prizes set up.
We get some great prizes.
For each game.
Well, but before I get to the prizes, don't let me forget that. So a lot of people have asked me, what is music bingo? How does it work? So it's like regular bingo, except instead of numbers on your card, you're going to have the name of a song or the name of an artist or maybe even the name of an album.
Do you want me to take this one?
Oh,
it's just the name of the song. So it's just I just don't want anyone freaking out. So it's only the name of the song. It's the title of songs. We play little 45-second clips of songs. You have the titles that will be all on your bingo cards, and Shazam and Google search or whatever. It is not cheating, because at the end of the day, it's still bingo. So I could tell you the name of every song. It doesn't mean you're going to get the winning pattern. Right. So it makes it a lot more fun. People love the music bingo because you get to sing along. You're getting to hear the 45 seconds, and it's normally like the best part of every song. So you just... hit after hit after hit. Oh my God, I love this song. I haven't heard it in ages. Everyone's singing, having a good time. But yeah, you hear the song, you get the name, you mark it off on your bingo card, you get the winning pattern, and bingo, you win a prize.
You win a prize. Yeah. And you can also buy an extra card. So for $5 more, if you want extra cards because you want a better chance to win. I know Jane is Annie Pesci when she does these. She does like 20 cards.
I was going to say, have you seen Church Bingo? The ladies have the whole table. They're like, you can't sit here. This is all mine.
It's all mine. Right. And so some of the prizes aren't. We do have more prizes coming in. But we do have donations, gift card donations, and actually liquor bottle donations so the liquor bottles and a gift certificate, I think it's $50 to Salvatore's Restaurant. We have a couple of $50 donations from Tomo, 2 of them. We have 2 $50 donations from Shaking Seafood. But by the way, thank you to Kevin Druin for all of these. Like if it was up to me doing this, we probably have one, right? And then I have to I'd have to go out and buy some just to, to do it. But what's great about this is that we have almost no expenses to do this. So almost every dollar that comes in is going to go right to the scholarship kids. We also have a gift certificate to Harrow's Pies. Wally at Harrow's Pies, by the way, is so incredible, and I feel so bad for the guy because he brings food to Daybreak Homeless Shelter. He brings food to Pegasus House. Then he shows up at TMF, and because he does that, I think a lot of people go to him and ask. And I always feel bad about that because when you get a guy like Wally who likes to give, who doesn't like to say no to people, I think sometimes people go to him too much. So we wanna thank Wally at Harrow's Pies. And by the way, they're in Methuen I think they're on Broadway. You need to go to Harrow's Pies and patronize Harrow's Pies because of everything they do for the community. This guy is spending thousands of dollars out of his own pocket for nothing. He's not getting anything out of it to bring food to Daybreak, to bring food to Pegasus House, to bring food to TMF, to help the homeless, to help people who are addicted, to help women who are hiding because of domestic violence situations. And he never wants to be thanked for it. In fact, the last time he came and gave us enough food for like 200 people at TMF, I called Harrow's, and I didn't get him. I got one of his people, and I said, can you guys send me an ad? I want to give you guys a free ad in the Valley Patriot for what you're doing. And they never got back to me. And I suspect they never got back to me because they don't want to be thanked. They just want to do it for the sake of doing it. And that's all the more reason why I want to do something to help them, because those are the people that make a community what it is. Those are the people who don't say, well, geez, there's black people there, I don't want to do it, or there's Muslims there and I don't want to do it, or there's transgender kids involved, I don't want to do it. They don't care what your category is. Contrary to what you see on CNN every day, they're constantly telling you how racist and horrible America is. These are the people like Wally and Aaron at Tomo's and Mike Agricola at Salvatore's who really just do it for the sake of doing it to help. And so we want to do everything we can to try and help them get business and to help raise their profile so that more people will go and more people will buy food from them so that they will do well. So come Saturday night at the Clada at 7 o'clock. I'll be there, and we'll probably stick around afterwards too, depending on... Now, normally I don't drink. Most people know that I don't drink. I'm kind of on the wagon. Not because I'm an alcoholic, just because there was a time in my life where I drank a lot, and I just realized how it was screwing up my life, so I just stopped doing it. But I may drink that night because you got music and it's going to be my crowd and I feel comfortable with my crowd. Usually I only drink like twice a year. I usually drink like St. Patrick's Day and the night of the bash. That's usually when I'm drinking. But this week I might have a couple of drinks at Music Bingo. Okay, I got one other story while Stephany gets herself acclimated. She got her whole camera crew here. You think she's in Hollywood. She got her whole camera crew. They're videotaping her walking into the studio. It's crazy. But when you see what she looks like, you'll understand, right? So I do have one story while she's getting her headphones on that I want to bring to you. Often I come into the show and I talk about the Ethics Commission in Massachusetts. They're really a feckless organization. It's not their fault. I got a couple of emails the last time I went after the Ethics Commission because, the penalties that they impose upon people who are involved in government doing wrong things, doing bad things, it's really kind of ridiculous. It almost is a disincentive for people not to do bad things, right? And I get a lot of emails from people saying, well, Tom, I think you're kind of exaggerating that a little bit. So I got an email yesterday, and I just kind of wanted to read a little bit about this. So the former Malden Human Services and Outreach Director, her name is Karen Collins Hayes, was hit with a $7,005 fine this week. And what she did was she was in charge of the, so she was involved with like a summer youth program. But she signed up her kids, so kids were like getting a part-time job, working for the city, doing like, cleanups and stuff. And she allowed two of her kids and one of her daughter's boyfriends into the program, and they were paid. But she's the director of the program. So it's totally a conflict of interest. You would think that would be something that would raise a $20,000 fine or more, because when you're working in government, you can't hire your relatives. And that's not something that like most people don't know about. It's something that's pretty simple. Most people understand. And I understand sometimes when I get these, I read what the person did and I think, if I was in government, I might have done that not knowing that it was wrong. But on something like this, give me a break. Like this and the guy in Stoughton that was the electric, I think I talked about it a few months ago. He was the head of the electric department and then gave a contract to his brother to do all the electric work in town. And he only get hit with like a $10,000 fine. But the guy made like $100,000. So there's really an incentive to break the law because the penalty isn't even near what it is that you gain if you break the law. So I wanted to just kind of bring that in. I got this today out of Malden. And I did get contacted the last time I went after the Ethics Commission by somebody who works at the Ethics Commission, not one of the board members, but someone who works there, who said, Tom, I understand your frustration. However, they can only impose the fines that the legislature have allowed. They have guidelines too. So to our state rep friends, Francisco Polino and Estella Reyes and Ryan Hamilton and all of our friends who are state reps, I encourage you to revisit the penalties for these ethics fines and make them a little bit more of a disincentive for people to break the law. That's all. So one more thing before we get to Stephany. We've got our sandwich of the day. You have that? So at Borelli's Deli, we'll thank our sponsors in a second. Borelli's Deli, the sandwich of the day. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, unbelievable. It is the mortadella capicola salami. It's what's called the Italian Vera. So it's mortadella capicola salami, provolone, tomatoes, onions, pickles, cherry peppers, hots, and oil. I'll probably get mine without the oil, but I definitely think that that's something that I would eat
really good.
For sure. Doesn't it sound really good, right?
Really
It looks really good.
And that's, by the way, that's tomorrow's sandwich
Yes.
of the day. You guys should see today's sandwich of the day, but by the time you get there, it's not going to be available. If you don't get there by 1 or 2, they don't have any left. So I want to thank Borelli's. Let's just thank our other sponsors real quick. We'll get to Steph. McLennan Real Estate, Century 21, the Zany Pesci Law Office, Marston & Son Construction, EIS, Investigation and Gun Training, Borelli's Deli, who we just talked about, Tomo and Shaken Seafood, who gave us gift cards from Music Bingo Saturday night, Clear Path for Veterans New England, Mercurio Law Office, AFC Urgent Care. I want to say hi to Lisa. We're working on a project right now that is very exciting for me because it's going to generate revenue for this show. So she called me out of the blue yesterday and said, I've got a great idea for you and I have the perfect person that can help you with it. So we're working on that. Also want to thank Pleasant Valley Landscaping and our 3 new sponsors. We're going to be going there next week. Stacks in Haverhill, Loaded in Haverhill, and they're really kind of right next door to each other. So you go to Loaded, you get all your finger food, then you go to Stacks for a couple of drinks. And Par 28 right here in Salem, New Hampshire, and we promised before the summer we're going to bring a bunch of people there too, and also a free shout out to JG's Ice Cream. All right, well, that's the end of the show, folks. Thanks for coming. Good night. No, I'm just kidding. So in the studio with me is Stephany Infante. She's the new District E City Councilor in Lawrence. District E is like the Mount Vernon, South Lawrence section. And it actually kind of starts over by the bridge, right, over where Sam's Steakhouse used to be. Yep. And so it's not really all Mount Vernon, but it also encompaces that other area along the river.
Street, Salem Street, a bit of
So you actually have Parker
Merrimack.
Street too?
Yep.
Because that used to be
F. One side is District D and the other side is District F. Mark.
Can you pull the mic in a little closer and can you turn her up a little? Because she's very mousy the way she talks.
That's important so people can actually listen to you.
Right. You want them to hear you because I'm sure you got a lot of things to say. So we started off, before you got here, I was telling people how we started off not really kind of liking each other all that much.
Yeah.
And
I would have thought that I would be here.
Right. So I'm always amazed at I look at the people that are in my life now that I really like the most, and most of them hated me when we first started. But I think a lot of that has to do with people just reacting to the rumors of who Tom Duggan is and the image of who they think Tom Duggan is until they actually kind of meet me and work with me, and then they see like a whole different person. So I'm always thrilled to be able to have someone on the show that started off hating me, and you look amazing, by the way. I don't want you flaming on me on Facebook again, but you do look amazing.
You did say that you respected the fact that I did say something back.
The fact that you attacked me made me respect you. No, I'm serious. I'm not kidding. Because a lot of people just put up with my shit, and I don't really have any respect for people that just put up with someone's crap. And when someone comes back at me, I think, you know what? This is somebody that I might actually like to get along with and get to know. So she did. She screen captured what I wrote about her, and she put it on her page. Just attacked me, and I was like, oh, that witch! I'm going after her. And then when it was all over, we ended up becoming friends. And I think sometimes those conflicts are good for people to have, rather than just holding it in and hating the person quietly and being nice to them when you see them in public and pretending that you like them. And you've turned out to not be that kind of person. which makes me like you even more because there's way too many phonies in this business. There's way too many people come over and put their arm around me at a fundraiser and go, hey, Tom, I hope the paper's doing okay. And you know that they hate your guts. You know that they savage you behind your back. But they'll never say anything publicly or to your face. So I do appreciate that. You started off on the Voc School Committee, which is kind of interesting. And then you ran for city council in Lawrence in District E to replace my good buddy that I went to grammar school with, Dave Abdu. And when Dave left, we were all kind of like, sad to lose Dave because he'd been there a long time and he's very smart.
He's very good. Very big shoes to fill.
And he's a very moral person. It's hard to find moral people in government. So I thought, geez, no matter who replaces Dave, it's going to be really big shoes to fill, and I don't know that anybody could. But I think you're pretty close. I mean, I think you've come in and you've kind of made a name for yourself, and you've taken on some issues that I think that are important. We'll talk about some of those. But before we do, when I ran for office, I had this whole idea in my head of what it was going to be like and what I was going to be able to accomplish. And then I got there, and I realized nothing that I thought I was going to be able to accomplish is done. And the issues that I thought we'd be talking about and making decisions on were things that we never really got to because we were so mired down in the bullcrap of politics and the minutia of government and the process. And I didn't really care about the process. I really cared more about getting stuff done. So I guess my first question is it very different now that you've been there now for 7 months? Is it different now than what you thought it was? And what are some of the surprises that you... Was it?
A year and 7 months.
Oh, I'm sorry, a year and 7 months. You're right. Yeah.
It's definitely different. Definitely different. In terms of, you mentioned processes, it takes long to get things done because we do have to follow an extensive process. And a lot of people think that, for example, I'll use a stop sign, for example. Getting a stop sign up will take 2 weeks.
Yeah, you take a vote. Everybody looks at the corner that it's going to go, and everybody gets a stop sign. Right?
But sometimes it can take up to 2-3 months. Like
really?
you just never know. And because we have so much going on in the city, positive things in terms of fixing the city and upgrading things, and so it could take a bit longer. And what I'm learning is that I thought some specific policies were important, but as I got to know the district more, people really care about their quality of life. So I currently, as a first-term city councilor, I've been dealing with issues about, the speeding, the noise, the noises, trash, pavings, things like that, the parks, and people are, at least in my district, they want to improve things that affect their daily lives every day, that they see that it's something that's in front of them every day. And that was a bit of an eye-opener for me. And also, it's not just the pictures. Like, people think being a city councilor, it's like, oh, you show up to events and I was late. As I texted you earlier, I was late because a constituent called me. I was driving over here and I turned around to stop at the constituent's home.
Oh, that's nice.
And, and a lot of the work is behind the scenes that people don't understand. There's a lot of documents that you have to review. And you've got to make tough decisions. So it's not just the smiling, the pretty faces, and the photos that people may think.
By the way, I blame the elected officials for that image that people have of city councilors, because the only time you see on social media elected officials doing anything is when they're in a pretty picture. There's a ribbon cutting, there's a school, there's a groundbreaking, there's some award that some kid got. But we don't see the substance. And what I'd like to see out of all of the elected officials in the area, I don't mind the pictures of the ribbon cuttings and stuff, but give us some substance too. Like, my biggest beef with the North Andover Board of Selectmen, they have their meetings right across the street from my office. But nobody ever posts on Facebook, hey, we've got a big vote coming up tonight on school funding, or we have a big vote coming up tonight on some other issue, to let people know what they're actually doing in the process of their job. The only time I see a North Andover Board of Selectmen on Facebook is when they're at a ribbon cutting. And for the most part, I see that in Lawrence too. But in Lawrence, there's a little bit more substance, so I'm more frustrated with North Andover. But I blame the officials themselves, because it's always about their image. And it's not about the work that they're doing. It's one of the things that I advised Brian DePena when he first became mayor. If you're going to do the ribbon cutting pictures every day, that's fine, but you got to give us something else too. Let us know, when you're going to be paving a road. Post the streets that are going to be blocked off when you're going to be paving roads. Post, that you're going to be doing a cleanup in a park or something. rather than when you're at the park doing the photo op.
I do think talking about posting, I think our DPW department does an amazing job.
Really incredible.
Yep, they post the streets that are being paved. They give the public a heads up. But as an elected official, going back to that subject, I 100% agree with you. I can only speak for myself. I started off like that, like being really good with social media and letting the public know. And then as I got busier, it's like, I
know it's not easy, and I know what I'm asking isn't easy, but I'm still asking.
But it's good to get that reminder, and it's good to always take a step back and like reanalyze yourself and what you've been doing and what you haven't been doing. And feedback like this is important because it's like, all right, Stephany, at least Stephany, you gotta get going. You gotta do that again, and so. I
also think one of the things that hinders progress in a lot of ways is the bubble, what I call the bubble. So before you get elected, your colleagues are the voters. And then when you get into office, your colleagues are the other elected officials. And so you go to an event, you go to a ribbon cutting, and they're all there. And then everybody goes to a fundraiser, and they're all there. And then you go to a meeting, and they're all there. And that becomes almost your constituency without realizing it, because you're with them so much, and you're swapping stories, and you're comparing notes about different projects going on so much, that you get in this bubble where you don't really see things as the voter anymore. You kind of see things more as the insider. When Mark LaPlante was Tower Hill Mark, when he was the Tower Hill City Councilor, I think he kind of fell into that. And then he left office, and he came back as the District F City Councilor. And it was a complete change around. Like, he totally got it at that point, because he went from being an elected official to not. And then realized as an outsider, like, hey, wait a minute, maybe we should be reaching out more and not spending so much time with other elected officials, but our constituents. And now I see that in him, and I'm thrilled to see it, because I was very frustrated with Tower Hill Mark. But I really like South Lawrence Mark a lot. So,
yeah,
anyways,
he's good.
Just my advice. I'm just going to sit here and give her advice all day, because I think I know everything, right? So there's a couple of things. So I know that you have been very vocal on Facebook. One of the substantive things you have posted, which I love to death, and that's the noise issues in the industrial park.
Yep.
And I always get complaints about this at the newspaper, but I'm a newspaper. What can I can write about it, but if nobody in power does anything, there's nothing you can do.
Yep.
And you're a city councilor, and the calls that go to the police department on a regular basis about this generally are not being taken very seriously. And I hate to say that about the Lawrence cops, because I love the Lawrence cops, and they are a little busy getting shot at and, doing all the big stuff. But like you said, it's the quality of life issues. Something like that is enough to make somebody that's lived in Lawrence for 40 years want to move. And I don't think Lawrence...
And I've received those comments.
Have you really?
I've received those comments in District C. And I do want to say it's not that our police department doesn't care.
No.
I do want to say that. And I want to thank Sergeant Samard, because Council President LaPlante and we did a ride along with him, and we got to see everything. I mean, not everything, but at least the foundation of their day to day. And we went into their call center. It's not called call center, dispatch center, and just seeing two officers with all these calls, like different scenarios, and they are trying to do their best. And that ride along for me was a huge eye opener. And I just want to put that out there, because I do see a lot on Facebook. Oh, Lawrence police, they're not doing anything. They're not doing much. And, I, as a counselor, I do have my moments when I get frustrated. But because of that experience, I'm able to reel myself in and remind myself they're trying their best. It's not that they don't care. They're trying their best with what they have.
Right.
And we have to support them and give them, if we're looking for changes in our quality of life issues, we have to support them and not keep blaming them, because we also need to put our part as a community, as taxpayers, as citizens. And I'm hoping, that's one thing I've said it before on the radio, I've said it on social media. We have to do our part. It's an entire community effort.
And I don't know if I said it, but if I did, I want to qualify it. I don't think that the Lawrence cops don't care, but it's the impression that people get that they call the police department, it doesn't get done, and then they get the impression that the Lawrence police don't care, and that's one of the things that frustrates people. Let me ask you a political question, if you don't mind me veering off a little bit.
Go ahead.
You're a Democrat.
Yeah.
Your party is very hostile to the cops, and yet you're a minority, you're a woman, you're a Latina, you live in a minority community, and all we hear on CNN every day is that the cops are a bunch of jackbooted thugs out there to try and gun down people of color. And yet here you are on my show talking about how great the Lawrence police are and the job that they do and how much you respect them. And so I'm wondering, do you have a disconnect with your party? Is this something that frustrates you about your party, that what you see on the ground is not what they promote on CNN?
What I can say is that I do believe not every, you have a few bad apples that unfortunately ruin the image for an entire department or entire group of people. And that's no matter what background, no matter who you are, that's across the board. My respect for law enforcement, I mean, I have 3 cousins. I have 2 cousins and an uncle that are Marine vets. One of my cousins used to be a detective in Lawrence Police Department. She went away to work with the state, came back, and now she's a cop in Tennessee. Or is it Texas? I don't know if it's Tennessee. I forget. But either way, I come from family that, some family members that have that background, and I understand how difficult their job is. So I try my best to understand. I try my best to look at the whole picture and make my determinations or my opinions from that, whether, my party or whatever, they have, their own. But
let me tell you the reason why I ask. Because you're an up-and-comer. I've been doing this since 1985, and I can see right at the very beginning when someone's going to end up being a senator. And you asked Frank Moran that I told him the day he got elected that he was going to be council president within 2 years, and he was. So having somebody who's been there now being out for a long time, I can spot someone who's an up-and-comer, someone who's going to be making a significant difference in our community and maybe even bigger. And I see you as one of those people. And so the reason I'm asking now is 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you might be a senator. You might even be governor someday. And I want you to remember on the ground how the disconnect from what your party says on CNN and the political narrative that they spin versus the reality on the ground and what's really going on, and how that disconnect actually hurts law enforcement. And not just on a lot of other issues, but I want to use that as an example. Mm-hmm. How it hurts law enforcement, and it hurts minority people. The majority of the crime victims are minorities. And when you want to defund the police, when you want to take away some of their authority, when you want to take them out of civil service, with all of those things that the Democrat Party is trying to do, it really hurts the minorities in the communities that need the police the most, like Lawrence. Mm-hmm. So anyways, that's why.
Well, I think our police department, like I said, you will come across a few bad apples. Unfortunately, that ruins it for everybody else. But what I'm most proud of is that many of our officers are from Lawrence. Mm-hmm. They are people of color, minorities, Latino, whatever, and they care about our community, and they do their best to protect our community, and they're willing, from what I've experienced as a counselor and having conversations with officers and individuals in leadership positions within the Lawrence Department, they do want to see our city moving forward. Mm-hmm. They do want to give it, they are giving it their best, but they want to do more. And that's important to always keep in mind and see how you can come in and help them fill the gaps mm-hmm. that they're experiencing.
I'm just hoping that you carry that forward through your political career, because I think you've got one. So the other question I wanted to ask, so my buddy Kevin was telling me the other day, and for some reason, just out of my own ignorance, didn't know about it, that you have spearheaded a new park in your district. Is that true? And tell me about that, because I'm curious.
So it's not a new park. It's been there. It was a little park called Donovan Park on Andover Street. It's next to the Dunkin' Donuts. Where I know. Yep. Yeah, you probably remember how it looked. But back last year in March, I brought the mayor there. And I'm like, look at this. These are one of the complaints that I got from constituents. And I brought him to the park, and he saw the condition that it was in. And I'm like, we need to do something. And I thank him till this day for this, because he agreed right away. A portion of it we were able, and I thank our state delegation at the time too, because they were able to help the city get a park grant for $400,000. The city then came up with $300,000 and was able to come up with another $100,000 for this park. So not only are we renovating this park, but we're expanding it.
Excellent.
And for those that would like to see, you can drive by it now. You can see all those trees. We're replanting trees and all stuff, but everything they knocked it down. And it was a space where the park was like this big, but the land was like this big. And most of the land was used as a dumping ground for trash. So now we won't have that issue. We're going to have a beautiful new park for constituents and residents in that area, and I'm really excited to see it. Parking, I believe is included. Don't quote me on that. I need to look at the plans, but
that looks like it says 3 minutes left. Can that possibly be true? Wow. So tell the people, because we only have about 3 or 4 minutes. Tell the people at home who are either listening on iHeartRadio or who are watching. What's coming up? What are some of the things that people should know is coming up on the city council that might interest them to want to participate?
I think they should just participate every day. I don't think they should wait until something important. I mean, everything is important because it affects you every day. Local politics is the most important factor in your life. I think we waste a lot of time debating like governor and presidents and everything like that, but it's really important to get involved as much as you can every day, if you can, with the city council, with local politics, and learn what's going on. I mean, we're the taxpayers. This is where your taxes are going.
Are there any big issues coming up, though?
Well, we have some big issues currently happening.
Yeah.
And
well, tell us.
I'm sure
we can go over a couple of minutes if you give us something good.
I'm sure people have been seeing it, but
not me. I'm completely. You got to come right out and say it because I don't know.
No, there's things happening, and yeah. I'm going to leave it like that.
Wow, we're not going to get it out of her. I thought for sure with all the ass kissing I just did, I was going to get something out of her. Somebody asked, are the wetlands being protected?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, 100%. Yep.
Why is the city clearing it and removing? Okay, so I think you answered that on the. I didn't realize we had some questions, or I would have looked. Why does the city have it on their selling list? Is that property listed on the list to sell? Kelly, who asked that question, I will.
We will follow up. I will follow up.
She will follow up, and
Yep.
you can find her on this thread.
Yep.
You'll be able to follow her.
Yep.
Is there anything else you want people to know? We've got a couple of minutes left. Anything else that you want people to know about things coming up on the city council, things that the city is doing, or maybe something that you guys have just accomplished that nobody knows about?
For me, what I've been seeing is that we're paving many streets that have been neglected. We are fixing our schools. Actually, just this Thursday, we voted on to give the Leahy, to appropriate $12 million more towards the Leahy. And that, of course, was a big discussion. And
12 million city dollars?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I stepped in, Tom, and I said, and I posted this on Facebook, so it's all public information, but for whatever reason, when it comes to our education, we make a huge debate about it. Not realizing that our schools, the education will be here 100 years plus, will outlive any of us. So that's something that's coming up. I mean, that has come up. Obviously, you know that we passed the city budget, so that's good. But as right now, from what I can think of right now,
nothing controversial coming up.
Nothing.
Nothing,
Yeah,
no.
I think everything is going well. And
Did you get along okay with the mayor?
I do.
You guys work well together?
We do.
Because I like him a lot.
We do work very well. And you know what's funny? It's we were in completely separate camps.
Well, that's why I asked.
But the mayor is very open-minded. He wants to see good for the city. And at least when I go to him for District E concerns or issues, he doesn't hesitate to help. And the park is one of them. For over 10 years, residents in that area have been trying to get that park renovated, but the city had to come up with a portion of it.
Right.
And the mayor was just like, "Yep, right away, no problem. I see the need," and so I'm very grateful.
How do
for him.
people get in touch with you if they either live in your district or if they're not sure they live in your district? They want to get in touch with you to either find out about something or to express a concern. How do people reach you?
They can call me. They can text me. Facebook, Instagram. I'm going to just say my phone number.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
My phone number
Can't say call me. You're not going to
Yeah, 978-857-8905.
Okay.
So they can come. That's my direct.
And if they reach out to you on social media, you'll answer them.
Yes.
Well, that's good because a lot
Yes.
of elected officials won't do
You
that.
can, and I have the proof.
Well, Stephany Infante, she's a Lawrence City Councilor. She's in her first term. You're coming up for re-election this year. Are you running?
I am.
You're running.
I'm
Do you have any
running.
competition?
I have, from what I know so far, I have one. 3 people, including myself, pulled papers. 2 are certified, myself and another individual. So we'll see what happens.
Would you guys be willing to do a debate on the show? Love to have you.
We'll see. To be determined.
We'll see. We'll see. It's like a Neil Perry answer. All right. I want to thank, you can roll it up, Chrissy. I want to thank Chrissy, my fine producer here, for putting up with my shenanigans every week. I want to thank our sponsors who are phenomenal. Stacks in Haverhill. Par 28 right here in Salem, New Hampshire. Loaded in Haverhill. AFC Urgent Care in Methuen and North Andover. Pleasant Valley Landscaping in Methuen. The Mercurio Law Office. He's, by the way, in North Reading, but don't let that scare you away. He's a pretty good lawyer. Clear Path for Veterans New England. Tomo and Shaken Seafood right here in Salem, New Hampshire. Borelli's Deli in Methuen. EIS, Investigation and Gun Training. Marcian and Son Construction. Zany Pesci Law Office. This list gets any longer, I'm going to have to extend the show. And McLennan Real Estate, Century 21, they're also in Methuen. Don't forget, Music Bingo Saturday night at the Clada, 7 o'clock. Chrissy's going to be our Master of Ceremonies. It's $20 for the night. Come, have a couple of drinks. Brian's got pretty decent bar food at the Clada. And maybe when it's over, you can all kind of hang out with us, and I might even have a couple of drinks,
And
depending.
there's prizes to win.
Oh, yes, prizes. And thank you to everybody that donated prizes. I think we need 2 more. But we have some great gift cards for prizes for the Music Bingo. So please come help support our scholarship drive for the Valley Patriots 20th anniversary bash in March. I know we're over, so I'm trying to get as much in as I can. Sounds like Melvin Taylor says you got to go home, so go home already.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.